Welcome back to another weekly analysis video. This analysis is for the week of August 24th, 2025. As always, we're going to start off with a review before diving into the analysis for the upcoming week. If you recall, I was looking for higher prices for last week to perhaps target 24,300 and in this area in here. We did not do that. We actually went a little lower to this level here at 23,328, and a little bit below it in its relative stop run area. If you recall in the analysis from last week, you will note that I had said if we trade out of this area in here, which it did on Tuesday, that it would draw back to this level in here, and I wanted to see how it would react. We have had a bullish move away from this area. We'll talk about this area going into the analysis for next week. It'll be interesting to see how we react and behave in here for next week, which will determine if we're going to make a higher high relative to this one, which I still believe will happen, but I need to see how we behave in here. Again, it's important to note that I had mentioned if we trade out of this area in here, which it did on Tuesday, that it would reach down for lower prices at 23,328 and even lower. Again, I told you that we need to see how we behave in here if we get to here, and it's reacted bullishly since. Alright, now we are in our hourly chart, and we can see a more detailed view of this expansive move out of this area in here. Again, I want to emphasize that I said if we left this area in here, from this purple line to this purple line here, if we left that area, that we would seek out 23,328, and it did just that. And it consolidated and meandered around its relative stop run area in here. I don't have that marked out on this chart, but it's 81 points above this level and 81 points below this level, and it's stuck within there before finally leaving that area, moving through 23,328 and back into this area in here. Again, I'm going to go into what I believe will happen going forward, but we need to see particular behaviors in order for us to see new all-time highs into this area up in here. And into our 15-minute chart, a more detailed view compared to that of the hourly chart. Here are these levels that I pointed out on the hourly chart that I didn't have marked out. Notice how it meandered in here, consolidated, stop run into this level here, and then the move higher. This move higher in here at 10 o'clock, I believe, was I believe Fed Chair Powell was speaking. I don't quite recall, but this was a news event in here which propelled price higher back into this area in here. Again, it's important to note how we left this area in the beginning of the week and we moved lower into 23,328, coming into its relative stop run area. The consolidation in here, not wanting to go any lower, and then propelling away. It's going to be interesting to see how we behave in here going forward. And so now we'll transition over into the weekly analysis for next week. Alright, so we're back into our daily chart and moving into the analysis for next week, for the week of August 24th, 2025. Price is currently here, and what I'd like to see is price move through this area, come back into about the middle of it here, and then make new all-time highs. Price needs to trade through this area if it wants to continue higher. My concern is if it comes a little bit higher to about the middle of this range between this purple line and that purple line, and then we start rejecting that area, going through this area again, it may want to make a lower low in here. Okay? So what does that mean? I'm monitoring the behavior and how it operates in here in the beginning of the week. Okay? Again, I want to see higher prices. I do not want to try to call a top in a market that is going higher. That's not my objective. I'm going to keep trying to ride the wave higher until it tells me not to. Until it kicks me off my surfboard and says, we're not going higher anymore. Alright, into our hourly chart now. We can see that price is currently here. And if it's really bullish, it actually should stay above this low here, not going below the orange levels in here, this zone in here. If it does start trading below the orange zone, it will come back into here. And at this point, if it were to come back into here, I do not want to see it go any lower than that if it's going to be bullish. That is the line in the sand for me. This should remain open, this large candle in here. Part of it should remain open. So if we were to come into this area in here, it should go higher from there and reach for 24,057. That's what I'd like to see. If it's really bullish, it'll stay within this orange zone. But it can come back down into here and then go higher from there. If we go through this area in here and close this candle in, yeah, it can still go higher from there, but that's not a signature that I want to see. I want to see price only come to this area in here. This is the maximum that I'd like it to see it come down and then go higher. So that's what I'm looking for, and that is what I'm going to expect. However, you have to have parameters in place to where you can say, all right, I'm wrong if it does this, and I need to perhaps change my bias. However, that's what I'm sticking to, is higher prices. Into our 15-minute chart now. Let's say we get price action that is favorable for bullish behavior. We stay above this. We rally higher. This is the middle of this range here, from this purple line to this. It goes through that, it comes back down into it, and then propels higher again. That would be the ideal entry point in there, or an entry could be taken in here for a anticipated move higher. We have to note that the purple lines from here to there is the relative stop run area to 24,057. So it technically can consolidate in here, which would not bode well for the immediate bullish analysis that I'd like to see. So this is something that you have to weigh out as a trader. You have to have scenarios in place that can happen. You have an expectation of what you want to see, and then you have scenarios that can also pan out within a certain area in price. And it's just weighing things out based on the present moment of not only with time, but where price is currently at. That's just something you have to do as a trader. And as you become more experienced, you learn to do that. So, again, the expectation is higher prices, wanting to make new higher highs, or attempting to make new higher highs. Okay, but I have to weigh these things out and see how we trade in the beginning of the week and go forward from there. So I'm still bullish on the Nasdaq 100, and I am expecting new all-time highs to be put in place. And again, I'm going to ride the new all-time highs wave until it kicks me off my surfboard and says, you're not riding this wave anymore, go somewhere else. So with that being said, that's going to conclude the analysis for the week of August 24th, 2025. Take care, and God bless.